Welcome to Bear Archery's Hunting 101 podcast, where hunters new and old come to learn and find inspiration from stories of hunts gone by. Everyone is welcome to enjoy the outdoor way of life, and there is no better time to start than right now. So let's head into the great outdoors with your host, Dylan Ray.
All right, guys, welcome to Bear Archery's Hunting 101. I'm going to redo that because I got told last week, they said you always say all right when you start the podcast. So every single intro is all right, guys.
Well, if you're going to say it, be like Matthew McConaughey, all right, all right, all right.
There you go.
Leave that in there.
I don't even know how actually, we'll just run this, man. You
just
made
run it.
You made it a good intro, so we won't even edit any of this out. Welcome to Bear Archery's Hunting 101 podcast. I'm joined by two thugs, two friends of mine, two guys that I'm blessed and to consider friends, Mr. Steve Allie from Scentlock and Nexus Outdoors. Steve, how are you, man?
Doing well, Dylan. Thank you very much. Really happy to be here. It's finally made it.
Yeah, it's been a long time coming, man.
It has.
I feel like you're possibly one of the guys that I communicate with the most that's never been on the show.
Yeah, I thought about that on my ride in this morning while I was thinking about this show. And we're going to make it happen, and maybe it'll be a little bit easier moving forward. So, yeah,
absolutely. We were supposed to have you on, what was it, earlier this week, and you partied too hard and couldn't come on. Your voice was gone.
Yeah, well, no, wasn't that was the previous week, and my daughter actually got sick, and it was terrible. It was after my daughter got sick on a camping trip up in the UP in northern Michigan, on the holiday weekend, and she ended up throwing up in the tent, and it went from being a pretty decent weekend to being kind of a terrible time where we had to pack up our goods and head back down south. So, but yeah, and it lasted for a while. It's some kind of weird 5-day flu that I guess went through her whole entire daycare. So that's what kind of put a burden on that last podcast with us.
Yeah, my son got it too, man. And he's only, I don't know how old your daughter is, but my son's about to be 3, so it's like the worst age for him to get sick because they don't understand I'm sick, so they want to keep playing and having fun, but then they don't feel good, so then it's a struggle, man. And then they can't wrap their mind around, I got to take the disgusting medicine because it'll make me feel better. So they don't take their medicine. So I'm in there, mixing up all sorts of concoctions saying, hey dude, it's a milkshake. And he takes the medicine. He's like, no, this is nasty. And I'm like, dang it.
She's 1.5 years, so she can't communicate what's going on. Like, I don't know if her throat's sore or what. So it's a tough few ages there, I think, to navigate through ailments. So yeah, I agree.
Yeah, it's rough, man. But we also have Mr. Matt Jennings. Matt, how are you, man? You've been on the show before.
I've been on the show. I'm doing well, man. How are you doing today?
Man, I'm absolutely wonderful. It is sunny and beautiful here in Kansas. Spent the morning shooting my bow, so you can't beat that. And Matt, I got a couple notes about you from last show. A couple people messaged me in and talked about you.
Oh, I hope good stuff.
All bad stuff, my friend. All bad stuff. No,
all bad. Well,
the first
just leave that part out then, I guess, and go on to the next part.
The first message I got, somebody just said, "Man, you need to have some more Southern boys on the show because that twang kept me interested."
Oh, that voice, good. Man! That voice grabs everyone. I told him we had a conversation about that. What is that? A few weeks ago, Matt.
Yeah, I've had I stay in the Midwest a lot, and no matter where I go, people pick up on it quick. And I don't. To me, I don't talk that country, I guess, because I'm always, I guess, around it. But the first time I ever watched myself on TV, I was like, dang, I sound like a hick. Did I sound that dumb? And but I guess it's got its pros and its cons,
I moving to Kansas, I never thought I had a bad accent. And I was from the northern part of Arkansas, so it's not near as thick as some. But moving to Kansas, everybody was like, "Man, you've got a thick draw," and I'm like, "You need to come back home because because I go back home now and I listen to people and I'm like, good Lord, man." And but still, my wife, when I get real excited, I talk fast, like they do in the South, and my wife will say, "Slow down, you're talking Arkansas."
I always talk fast, so I guess I'm always excited. So I guess that's a win-win.
That's what I've enjoyed about communicating with you. Get on the phone with some people and it's just a dread, and they're like, "Man, dog died, this happened, water pipe bust, whatever." I get on the phone with Matt and it's just a good time. It's just it's we're excited about hunting, we're talking about hunting, and it's just always fun.
Oh yeah, man, it's always a blast. And just for the viewer or whoever's watching or listening, I want to pull them into what we're doing and make them feel just as a part of it as what we're doing as we're doing it. And that's the main goal, is to, draw people and get them involved in it. So
Yeah.
I'm glad we're able to do that.
Now, before we go any further, you guys, if you've listened to this show or followed me on social media for any amount of time, or Matt, we're both huge fans of all the Nexus brands. And so, Steve, it's a pleasure to have you on, man. It's a pleasure to call you a friend. But before we jump in, give us a quick introduction to yourself and what all you do at Nexus.
Yeah, Dylan, thank you. I am the senior marketing manager of Nexus Outdoors. I guess in a nutshell, I manage a lot of our pro staff, work with fellows such as yourself, and I also manage a large ambassador team. We have quite a big ambassador team, about 600 that in tandem I work with ambassador leads to keep that relationship flowing. I also run a internal marketing department. I have a creative director who's just a beast of a designer who helps with a lot of the design work that we do. I do a little bit on the side because that's kind of my background as well. I also work closely with a photographer, videographer, Brent, who he does quite a bit of the imagery that you guys see on our social, on our websites, any print, so on and so forth. And then another aspect of my job, I work closely with the sales team and a digital marketing manager to keep the health of our website going. We're constantly doing updates, some updates that not even maybe users such as yourself would see, just with like SEO, search engine optimization, just trying to keep the organic health of the website. To keep up with the big boys in the industry. In tandem with that, we also we're starting to pick away at user interface portions of the website to try to keep users intrigued, make your shopping experience a little bit easier, and just have an overall better experience with our website. And yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it in a nutshell. I mean, there's a lot of other things we get pulled into day and day. As you know, I communicate with you quite often. We're starting to get an Amazon and this and that. And it's a whirlwind, but it's fun. And we have a good time doing it.
Now, you're not only a good friend of the podcast and a good friend of mine, but Scentlock and all the Nexus brands work really closely with Bear Archery as well.
That's correct. Yeah.
So it's a pleasure to tie in brands that I believe in, but also that believe in me and the other brands that I work with. So it's always been a pleasure to work with you and the other guys at Nexus. How did you and Mr. Matt get tied up together?
Oh man, I was thinking about that this morning. Matt reached out to me, but I think initially, Matt, you got in with Nick Andrews, who's my predecessor, essentially. I mean, I have about two predecessors. I think Nick left before the previous gentleman who I took his place. But yeah, Matt cold called me one day, just kind of told me about his relationship with Nick Andrews and Scentlock, and he got me linked up with some of his content that he's done with some of the products that Nick gave him, and right from there, I noticed that he had a good knack for great authentic content. Which, you know, when I first initially started here, content was kind of lacking. You know, we had some good assets, but man, to keep a social media platform flowing, and you guys all know this because you do it day in, day out, like you can't have enough content. I mean, especially if you're someone like any of these bigger brands posting 2-3 times a day and you want to have original stuff day in and day out. I mean, it's huge. So when I saw that talent from Matt in conjunction with some of his shows he's done, I just thought, you know, this is a guy I want to work with. Matt, did I explain that well enough?
That sounded pretty professional.
I'm professional here? No.
It's funny hearing you say that. It's funny hearing you say that because most rednecks aren't that good with the camera.
Oh, man. That's why I got the best editor in the business. We have to do a lot of chopping.
Nice.
No, I was joking. Now, Matt, you also recently joined the Bear Archery family.
I did.
Was your connection with Steve and Scentlock and Scentlock's connection with Bear Archery part of that switch?
Oh yeah, Steve's 100%. I mean, I give him every bit of credit for getting me hooked up. Well, Alec, I mean, if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't be there, because in the hunting industry, it's all about relationships, and if you don't got one, the connection to build the relationship. And Steve, he's helped me. I mean, you know, hands down, almost. I mean, more than anybody ever else has. You know, and I can't ever thank him enough for doing that and hooking me up with Bear and Trophy Ridge, and I'm loving the products and can't wait to get in the field to use them.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, this is your first, so this will be your first season hunting with Bear, right?
Yes, sir. Correct.
What bow are you shooting again? We might have talked about this last time, but what bow are you shooting?
The Redemption.
That's a good bow, man. It's a good bow.
It is. I will say it's built perfect. It's quiet. It's fast. It's durable, and it's designed to, you know, do what you want it to do when you want to do it. And I can't wait to get out and get going with it.
We got a Redemption EKO from Allie here in house for our marketing use, and I did shoot the other day. I'm not gonna lie, and I did like it. I did like it, you guys. I think, you know, in the previous years, I've shot different brands, obviously, before going to Nexus and having this relationship with Bear. But Alec has been super generous with product for our photo shoots. So I'm picking these things up, I'm shooting them, and I can't. They're amazing products. I actually, just some quick background. My first bow was a Bear bow. So the first buck I ever shot was with a Bear bow, and actually I talked about that on the Eichlers podcast when I went out and visited them. So Fred thought that was pretty cool, and so I have Bear in my roots, you could say.
Now that's another guy that just aligns perfectly with both brands, and
oh yeah, totally.
You know, I absolutely, Fred Eichler has become one of my favorite guys in the world to talk with. Just like Matt, man, just an excited guy. You know, he's not ever bored. He's always excited. He's always happy. He's always, you know, just in a good mood. And I mean, those are the kind of people I love conversating with. And so, you know, both Matt and Fred, just great ambassadors for not only the sport of hunting, but for both Bear and Scentlock as well. Just great guys. Now, I was joking before we got on the phone. We were waiting on Matt for a minute, and I texted him. I said, dude, Steve said you've got 32 seconds to get on here. You don't have a sponsorship. So it took him 37 seconds. So if anybody is listening to this from another clothing company, Matt is in the hunt sponsor.
I'm a free agent.
No, again, just you know, I wanted to kind of get the intros out of the way and kind of tie in everything together, because it's always interesting to me how hunting in the hunting community is such a small world. And so I like to make those connections with people so they can understand, you know, how are these guys such good of friends when, you know, they live 14, 15 hours away from one another. Well, it's because we all work with the same people and we all work together for the same common goal. And so, we're constantly communicating back and forth about what can we do better? How can we help? How can we, work in this situation? But also, I get a ton of comments, and I'm sure you guys are the same. I get a ton of comments from people. How can I be in the hunting industry? How do you get sponsors? How can I make a living out of this? And I tell people, and I heard, I think it was Cameron Haynes talk about this, just the quality of a good photo. And, if you'll consistently take good photos and share them of companies that you like and enjoy, it'll get noticed. And it'll get the attention of those companies, because companies are always looking for good content. Now, again, is that going to get you paid immediately? No. But if you want to get your foot in the outdoor industry, start producing good quality photo content and, send it to these companies, tag them in it on social media. And I promise you it'll catch their attention if they consistently see, man, this guy's always posting good content of ScentLock or of bear or, these boots or this backpack or, whatever else they might be using or wearing. And I promise you it'll catch the attention of those others around you.
I agree, Dylan. Yeah, that's
100%.
The hunting industry and us being, small, I think that's a huge thing for us just all to work together and just be one, because, unfortunately, and this is something I was thinking about earlier, is there's a lot more people that are against the hunting industry, and for us to not work together and be together as one it just shoots us in the foot, essentially. So, but back to the content thing, that's how I found Matt. Essentially, was content. Content's king, and that was well said. Sorry, Matt, you can go ahead.
Oh yeah, on the content stuff, I mean, people trying to get in the industry, because I get 100 messages like that a day, and I always tell them, do enough good work where you can't be denied, and work ethic goes a long way. And everybody just thinks it's handed to you, but it's not. And you gotta, a dream is just a dream without a goal. And you got, set your goals, and, just, I hate to say this, but because I like to take off running as fast as I can, but there for a while, you got to crawl until you get that following, or the right person sees you, or you make that right connection. And, because it's not easy. And, there's a million people trying to do what we do, and we've been blessed enough to do it. And it's just one of those things where you say your prayers and, put in the work and set your goals and, make it happen instead of waiting around to somebody give it to you.
I tell people all the time, I'm like, you don't understand how many times I was working on stuff, on videos or pictures or whatever, podcasts, and my wife, I had to give up family time with my wife. I had to work in the evenings. I had to work on the weekends and to get that stuff, because I had a 40-hour week job. And so, there was a lot of time put in where I wasn't making a stinking dime. Not only that, I wasn't even getting I was buying the products. And so, like you said, there was a lot of time where I had to decide, is this something I want? And if it was, I had to go out and work for it. But I want to share this with the listener as well. If you want to make something of yourself in the outdoor industry, you need to ask yourself, rather than what can ScentLock do for me, what can I do for ScentLock? And rather, what can Bear Archery do for me, what can I do for Bear Archery? And I can plug any name in there, Schnee's Boots, an Initial Ascent, or Alaska Guide Creations. What can I do for them rather than what can they do for me? Because I promise you that's something else that goes noticed by those companies. If you're always just asking for this and that and that and the other, rather than saying, hey, what can I do for you? What do you need? Is there any kind of content that I can help you with? If I go on a trip, I try to reach out to every single one of my sponsors and say, is there any kind of specific content I can help you with? Because I'm headed to Colorado, headed to, Total Archery Challenge or Mountain Archery Fest or whatever. Is there any kind of content that you need that would help you? And that goes noticed as well. But I also want to make a note. You see a lot of guys in the outdoor industry, and you think, man, they're living the dream. Let me just say this. There's a lot of guys in the outdoor industry, even big names, that still have full-time jobs. and they still have to work. So don't. I also want to say, don't fall into the misconception of like, well, once I have, a TV show or a podcast or sponsors, then I get to quit my job and just hunt, because that is a very strong misconception as well. You hear guys like Cameron Haynes. I mean, he still has a job, a 40-hour-a-week job. I would be lying through my teeth if I told you I got to hunt for a living, because I don't. I do podcasting and marketing for a living, just so happens to be in the outdoor industry. So that's another big misconception that, and I don't know how we got on this topic. This is not what I wanted to talk about at all, but I guess we got time. But I do think, I think the listener wants to hear that, because I think, a lot of the listeners are thinking, well, how can I make it in the outdoor industry? How can I make something of myself? And these are just some good ideas and tips and tricks and also warnings.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. It's not for the weak. I promise you.
No, it's funny, Mac. I was thinking about you last year when you had the opportunity at that monster buck, and cards weren't played correctly. It just didn't work out for you. But then what did you finish the year out with? Like 5, not decent, I shouldn't say decent, 5 great bucks that you busted your butt for, man.
Oh yeah. I mean, I took and the year before, you always got pressure going into every season, because you got to live up to the hype the year before, and then you got social media, and then you got your sponsors that you want to, take to the next level and, show their products doing what it's supposed to do, being successful. And man, last year I took a butt whipping, and I was out at the point ready to lay down and cry, but I didn't. And, I'm still in a good mood, chipper, but on the inside, I'm feeling like crap. Damn it, I'm hurting, but I don't show it, because you got to act professional like you've been there before. And from mid-November to Christmas, I think I killed 6 bucks. Smallest one was $1.35. Biggest one was 150. And it can all change in a split second. And,
It can.
And that's what it's about. You can't give up, because regardless if I got a camera over my shoulder, or if I'm doing it for living or part living, I'm gonna be hunting. And like that's my thing. And I love it, and I've always loved it. And that's one thing, the person that's wanting to get into the industry, they got to absolutely love it 1,000,000%. They can't just like it. They got to love it and be dedicated to it to ever gain any traction off of it.
Yeah, you have to be passionate, and you have to have that drive and work hard. I think I remember I talked to you on a phone one day, and you're like, man, I slept in a ground blind last night just so I can get an opportunity. It's like, you just got to have that dedication. You got to come up with new tactics to get yourself in front of these just mysterious animals, especially when it comes to, getting the, when you're getting to 150s plus. I mean, you gotta put the due diligence in, you gotta put the work in. And, it's not all about size too, for the listeners as well. I mean, yeah, anything can be a trophy. You just gotta accept it and have fun doing it,
100%.
Now, what kind of hunts do you guys got lined up for this year, 2022?
Oh man, I think Matt's all over the place. I kind of do the same thing each year. I had that exciting turkey hunt at Eichler's, which I was super blessed to be able to partake in and meet the family, and that was a great time. I have family property down in Illinois, so you'll probably see me down there for archery opener as usual. And then I do a little back and forth on some small properties here in Michigan, private properties. I also do a little bit of public land, which public land with the big drive in the outdoor industry this last year, and hunting, and especially I noticed that there was a lot more pressure out there, and I just try to take advantage of it, try to set up in spots where I felt like other hunters might push deer my way, but I got into saddle hunting recently, and that was kind of a game changer, especially on public land where I can make moves. If a guy walks in and, you know, I don't like the situation, it takes me 15 minutes to get down and go back over to another tree, and another 15 minutes to get back up in the tree. You know, I can adapt and change. And then, sorry, I'm kind of blabbing here, guys. I guess in November is kind of my big longer duration in Illinois. I'll go down there for maybe about 2 weeks at times. Generally first, second week, or maybe I stagger and do second to third week in November and down in Illinois. And this is west, you could say west central Illinois, Schuyler County, between Illinois and Mississippi River. But aside from that, I don't have any really big other hunts. But you know, you guys can always invite me on some hunts. Wink, wink.
Wink, wink, wink.
No, I invited you on a hunt last year, man. I invited you on a hunt last year, and you turned me down for like a wedding or something.
I had obligations, but
I guess that was the early part of this
He
year,
said I had
2021.
obligations. Come on, Steve.
was that for a pheasant hunt? I don't.
No, that was for. We talked about a pheasant hunt,
no, that was
later.
Texas, wasn't it?
That was Texas with Alec.
I know. I should have went with you guys.
Me and Alec went down to Texas, dude, and Alec laid the smackdown on a whitetail. Alec shot that deer so hard that it shed both of its antlers.
Its antlers fell off. I saw
it. All that horsepower from that bare bow.
Dude, that was one of the funniest things ever. So I wasn't there. We were hunting in a different area for free ranging axis. But Alec and one of my other friends were there, and he shoots this whitetail, and so they go to find it. And while they're walking to find it, I don't know who it was. I don't know if it was the guide or Alec or my friend, but he said, "Look, here's a shed." So they pick it up, and they keep walking, you know, another 20 yards, and they say, "Look, here's another shed, dude. It's a matching set." They were like, "Cool, that's awesome, man." And so then they keep walking, and they find his deer just 60 yards from where he shot it at, and there was no antlers on it. And he said, "Dude, I know I shot a buck." And he said, "Well, I think these are its antlers here." And so sure enough, it was those antlers, and the guide got behind that deer. And it was so funny, man, the footage of it. But he's holding that deer head up, and he has the antlers on it. And he said, "Hey, come hunt with us here at Pope Brothers Guide Service, where we have these new detachable antlers deers. You can have them wide, you can have them narrow." And he moves the antlers in and out. He says, "Anything you want, wide or narrow, we got them all." And it was absolutely one of the funniest things ever. But that was a fun hunt, man. We ended up shooting a whole lot of stuff.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's hard to beat Texas. I don't care
freedom
wherever
down
you hunt. Like, it's so gamey. I learned the first time I ever went to Texas, you better take 2 quivers to the blind with you, and pray to goodness that's enough arrows.
You got to bring Ted Nugent's quiver with you.
Yeah,
I know, kidding.
super stacked.
Yes, he's got like double stack.
Yeah, he's all about the mystical flight.
Yeah,
the new 84 arrow.
Oh man.
Now, me and man, now that you say that, Steve, I feel bad. Me and Matt are going to try to hook up and hunt in Oklahoma this year, and that's going to be a blast. But Steve, I'll have to get you an invite, man. We'll tell you the dates and see if you can make it. But I'm sure you'll have some kind of wedding or something.
Oh man, yeah, no, please do. I'm open to it, man. Just we'll link up. I promise.
It'll be a good time. It'll be a real good time there in Oklahoma. We're going to hunt with Liberty Ranch Outfitters, some of my good friends down there. Always been a pleasure to hunt with. They've got, you know, awesome cabins and a lodge and just great deer. And so it's going to be a blast. But no, cool. I did, though. Before we move on, I just now got an email. My watch dinged me, and I looked down at my watch, and it says delivery notification. And I'm like, oh, snap. And so I have a new pack upstairs that I'm anxious to go check out. I got an initial scent IA2K pack waiting for me upstairs. So I'm incredibly excited to check that thing out, incredibly excited to use it this season. And because, man, that design on that pack is just incredible. And so I'm excited to put it to work and use it this season. But moving on, if you guys were to say, and let's keep this clothing specific since we do have Steve on here. if you guys were to say, here's my biggest tip for you in hunting, when it comes to clothing or the gear that you wear, what would that tip be?
Oh man, I mean, this last year, Matt knows this because he lived it. Man, that heated vest is a game changer. I wore least amount of layers I ever have to, man, I don't know, all the way to like mid-November. I'm usually layering up, and I wore that vest in. I brought all the layers I normally wore, and I literally left probably about, a layer or two in my backpack on those sits. I mean, it's amazing. I was always thinking, like, I always thought, nah, I'm never gonna get that heated stuff. I don't want battery packs. I don't want this. I don't want that. And then, then I got with Nexus, and it's like, hey, let's try these products out, and it just blew my mind. Well, Matt, I'm sure you agree.
Oh yeah, 100%. I mean, like I said, I think in one of the videos, it's a game changer. And let the secret out on it. I mean, you can go in, lightweight, and bow hunter. Your clothing is everything, because one, you got to get in tight with them. You got to be in their face. You got to be able to move when you can and be flexible, because y'all boys know how it is. I mean, it never goes down the way you want it to go down. You always have to, pull a trick shot. And with that heated vest, you can, decrease on your layers and go in lighter and still have the comfort and the warmth that you would with all the other stuff that you usually would have on. And it just gives you that extra edge and advantage to be more successful.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more, because, when you got all those layers on, you feel like you're the Michelin tire guy up in that tree stand, and all of a sudden you got to do a backflip and draw, and it seriously is a game changer. Another thing with that vest too, it's Primaloft insulation too. So even when the vest isn't on, it's got some thermal value to it even. So like, even let's say you get out there and you don't even need that heat, you still have this thermal value of that insulation as well. And it's super lightweight too. Let's say you didn't want to wear it in, you shove that thing in your backpack and pull it out when need be too. So it's one of my favorite pieces. I mean, I enjoy a lot of our pieces, but that was like the next level for me, because I've always used ScentLock garments, but that was just a technology that I didn't have in my arsenal that I do now, and I couldn't go without it.
Yeah, I can't wait to try it out.
You don't got one?
No. Another good thing this year, I guess this could be for the listeners who have used the vest and have been users of ScentLock. That vest, we had a time limit on it of 45 minutes. So you'd be sitting there nice and toasty, and all of a sudden you start losing that edge a little bit, and you'd wonder what the heck's going on. Well, the vest would turn off after 45 minutes. This year we changed that. It doesn't turn off. It's going to stay heated constantly the whole entire time. Another thing is too, people are buying into these battery packs on Amazon, which they're great battery packs. But they have this IQ technology in them that when they're inactive for a certain amount of time, and you go to push that button on the vest, it wouldn't work. So people thought their vests were broken while they're in the tree stand, at that crucial moment when they needed it. And really, it turned out it was the battery pack that goes to sleep, and you got to wake the battery pack back up by hitting this button on the side, and then you can turn your vest back on. Well, for this season, we actually teamed up with a battery company. We're coming out with our own battery pack that won't have that issue. It's going to work perfectly with the vest. It's going to fit in that pocket, and I believe it's I forget the size of it, but it's getting up to the size where you can have your vest cranked for about 6, 8+ hours. So that's another big thing.
It's pretty much going to be big enough to be able to jump off your truck if your truck battery's dead also.
Yep, exactly.
You can heat your core and jump your four-wheel
all in one.
All in one.
Are you guys going to the Total Archery Challenge this week in Michigan?
Man, I'm not, unfortunately. I can't make it. I'm kind of a little bummed about it, but Alex been really cool with my involvement with it. We've been doing some giveaways with some of those with some of the events, and he's rocking some of those black vests that we sent you. They had Bear Archery sewn on one side. So ScentLock still has some existence there, but I won't be there this weekend. We do have some ambassadors that will be there. James Brabson, who's with the Bear Archery team as well. He'll be up there representing us and Bear. So I meant to reach out to him. I probably will here before the weekend, but no, I will not be.
That's a crying shame, man.
I know.
I'm just kidding. No, it's a busy time of the year, man. It really is. Back to that topic of it just being a grind. I told my wife, I gave her all the dates of all the mountain archery fests and total archery challenges. And, then we've got Pope and Young convention and I just told her all these dates and she looks at me like I have 4 heads. And I'm like, I'm sorry. What am I, there's nothing I can do about it. And, but yeah, it's like 38 days of the next 50, that I'm gone. So it's rough, but again, it is a good time to see all the guys and you get to meet people that you've literally grown up idolizing, guys like Chuck Adams and Michael Waddell. And these guys that you watched as a kid and now you're sitting there, having a burger with them or shooting on the range with them or whatever. And it's just, it's a real pleasure to get to go to the events, but back to what we were talking about, it is a grind and it is something that, you got to decide, is this what I want to do?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You got to balance that family time, unfortunately too. And yeah, like you said, you're out before, your whole summer calendar's filled.
Yeah.
And you got to make sacrifices. So, Archery Channel it's going to be an amazing event. I actually have buddies that go up there every year. I'm going to make it up there one of these years for sure. And I'll hit that 110 and walk away with a free truck here eventually. Right.
Dude, you want to talk about one of the baddest trucks on planet Earth. It's right stinking there.
Dude, that camo
is sharp.
Amazing on a truck. I couldn't believe it.
I did just partner with, I got a new partner announcement. I did just partner with NZ Campers, and I'm gonna get a custom built hunting 101 camper, and I'm gonna do whatever I need to do to make that thing wrapped in Fred Bear camo, because that camo is just awesome looking, and I've tried as hard as I could to get ScentLock to produce camo clothing in it, but they won't.
They won't.
I don't even.
Did you talk to the right guy?
I don't know anybody over there to pull strings in.
No, you're talking about that camper. We'll have to talk some more. I definitely can help out with something. So let's talk.
Yeah, it'll be really cool, man. They're custom built by hunters for hunters, and so they literally have like scent lock cabinets, like ozone storage cabinets built into the camper. They've got, and I already told him, I said, dude, don't build that in mine because I'm going to put one of the ozone cabinets, closets in there. And he's like, that'll be cool. And so that's what I'm going to do. Just bolt one of the Oz by ScentLock, closets in there. But, bow hangers and gun cabinets, and, they've got like a 160 Yeti cooler that pulls out so you can store all your meat in there and stuff. And
nice.
It's so cool, man. Go check out NZ Campers on social media, on Instagram. That's ENZY Campers LLC on Instagram, because they are really cool, and I can't wait. Hopefully they can make Fred Bear camo happen on that thing, because that would be incredible.
Here I'm picturing a teardrop, and now you're talking about putting one of those closets in there. It's a pretty decent sized camper then, eh? Yeah.
I don't know the exact size yet, but yeah, it's an enclosed box trailer. They buy the box trailers and then turn them into a camper, with 4 bunk beds and a little kitchenette. And, I already checked, and I'm like, dude, my hunting buggy is a golf cart. I need to be able to pull that thing up in there. And he's like, oh yeah, not a problem. So
that's perfect.
Nice. It's really cool. And so I'm super excited about it to have kind of a hunting 101 driving billboard down the road, but also a place, something my wife is super pumped about because she's not a camping gal. So I'm excited to have somewhere for her to sleep when we go out in the woods.
Yeah, that's awesome, man.
Matt, run us through your fall plans. You're all over the place, and it's funny when I said, hey, let's go to Oklahoma. You're like, well, man, we'll find time. But, dude, I've got, Kentucky, and you name like 84 different places you're deer hunting this year, and I'm like, well, good Lord.
86, not 84.
Don't you cut me short.
Don't you cut me short. Give me more credit than that. We're on the phone with my boss, man. You got to give me a little bit more credit. But no, man, we'll start off end of August. I think it's the last weekend this year in Tennessee for the Velvet Hunt. I got me a little lease down there, and it's got some pretty decent deer on it. And we'll hunt there for 3 days, jump on a plane, fly up to Tony D's place at 4T Outfitter, bear hunt up there for 5 days, fly back in to Kentucky to One Fatal Mistake Outfitter, and hopefully close a chapter that I want to close so bad on a deer up there if he's still around. And I think I'm going to go pheasant hunting in South Dakota with some of my buddies October. And then I'll have Illinois, Missouri, Kansas, Oklahoma, and Texas. So we'll be rocking and rolling pretty good.
Yeah, you've got a lineup there.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I like to keep it fully stacked. And the bad thing about it is, I'm like, man, I wonder if I could put one more trip in there, because when it's deer season, I don't want to miss a day. I hate missing a day traveling, going to another spot. Like, I'm sad about it because I'm not getting to go, hunt and see what I'm missing out on. Like, it just,
Yeah.
and but that's just how it is. But we got some good places lined up this year, and hopefully we're gonna have a really good year and set the bar a little bit higher and go do our thing. So
Yeah. No, I'm excited to watch it unfold, man. I'm excited to have you back on after the end of the year and talk about the 74 deer that you killed this year. But no, it'll be fun. I do want to ask you, Steve, and if I'm in the wrong about this, we can certainly edit it out. But let's talk blocker for a minute. I talk a whole lot of scent lock just because that's kind of where my heart is. But blocker is another one of you guys' brands that's just phenomenal. When did you guys acquire blocker?
Oh man, I think 2018, or could have maybe been. I'm not too certain. I used to do contract work that's how I got this relationship with Nexus Outdoors. I did contract work where I was doing some content generation, and I was also working on their weekly their e-blast sales, and they were acquiring it right when that time happened. And I think that was kind of towards the end of 2018, funneling into 2019. So yeah, we bought it from Robinson, which used to be Robinson Outdoors, aka Scent Blocker. And then from there, we kind of evolved the brand into a couple different series. So now it is known as Blocker Outdoors, and which encompasses Scent Blocker, which has a similar carbon story that Scent Lock has. So if you wanted to, for those hardcore whitetail hunters who want that extra edge on scent elimination, we have that product for them. And then on the other half of Blocker Outdoors, we have our Shield series, which has our S3 technology, which is essentially silver technology to help fight bacteria next to skin, which also, is kind of an odor elimination type of technology. But we're really trying to push that side of Blocker Outdoors, our Shield series, for kind of the any season, any hunt mentality, where we want people wearing this stuff out west, hunting elk in the mountains, to turkey hunting, to all sorts of different styles of hunting, which is super exciting. Actually, we have some really exciting stuff happening in 2022. I can't quite talk about quite yet, but some of it's geared towards getting on that turkey hunting train a little bit more with the products. So I'll be super. Maybe we'll hop on a call here sooner than later when I can actually start talking about that stuff a little bit more. But that's pretty much Blocker in a nutshell. We also have a whole line of liquids like field sprays and shampoos and so on and so forth, like we do on the Scent Lock side too. So there's a whole array of products. And it's another great thing about Shield Series is we kind of pride ourselves at kind of being in that value zone where it's affordable, but we don't skimp out on technology or quality as well. So
now that's the reason I ask, because you know, I want to say this in a nice way, because you know, I don't want to put down the people who owned it before, but you know, Blocker had that perception of being cheap gear. You know, you could run to Cabela's or run to Academy and pick it up for cheap, and it was cheap quality gear as well.
mm-hmm.
And that's kind of what it was. But upon Nexus acquiring it, it has taken leaps and bounds in the quality direction without taking leaps and bounds in the price direction. So you still get incredibly good priced gear, but it's a lot better quality than it used to be. So if you haven't checked out Blocker, you know, since 2018, 2019, whenever that happened, I would encourage you to check it out, because it's incredibly high quality gear, but the price tag didn't go up. So check out Blocker. But that's why I asked, because, you know, I remember the switch. Like, I remember that taking place. I remember, I don't know the exact situation, but I remember somebody like having a Blocker jacket. And I'm like, dude, that's not the same quality that I remember Blocker. Like that's different. You could tell by the zipper, by the seams, like that's different. And then I started doing a little bit of looking into it. And this was before I ever worked for Nexus or worked with you guys at all. I remember thinking like something happened, and looking into it a little bit and realizing that it had been sold and acquired by the same company that owns ScentLock. And I'm like, well, that explains it.
Yeah, no, thanks for noticing that, Dylan. Yeah, our product team, from what I hear, went leaps and bounds, you know, trying to excel that product, but still stay within like that kind of blue collar, you could say, price range to accommodate those people who are still, you know, big scent blocker users. And we wanted to keep that crowd and, you know, work our way into other avenues as well. So
yeah, absolutely. Now, man, I heard this morning, and this has nothing to do with hunting at all, but it blew my mind. South African woman this week broke the Guinness's World Record and gave birth to 10 children.
Are you kidding me?
That's scary.
That is scary. I just saw it this morning.
Right there, man.
I saw it this morning, and it's been on my mind, because I'm like, good Lord, if that was my wife, hunting is done for the next, you know, however many years.
Oh.
But back to the whole traveling thing and being gone so much. I told my wife I'm so anxious. I mean, my boy's about to be 3, and I told my wife, I'm like, when this kid's like 6, 7, you're never gonna see us. Like, we're just gonna be gone all the time. And I was like, you know, any events I go to, he's coming with me. And she was like, Dylan, you do understand he has to like go to school and stuff, right? And I'm like, no, he
don't. He'll be fine.
I'm like, Matt never went to school and he's fine.
Yeah, exactly. I got to lay out.
I'm just kidding. I shouldn't say that kind of stuff, but no, that's what I tell her. I'm like, man, listen, when this kid's 6, 7, 8, you're never going to see us in the fall, because he's just going to be with me at all times. And, but then I thought, Lord, if I had 10 children, I can't take all 10 of them.
You better have you some big box stands.
Yeah, no kidding. No kidding. Real quick, before I ask you guys what I want to ask you, let me give a quick thank you to my friends over at Selway Archery. Selway makes the finest slide-on quivers for recurves and longbows. Now, I say slide-on. They do have bolt-on. They have strap-on. They have all the different kinds of attachments for recurves. But their slide-on quivers are my favorite by far, because they also, you know, it's wrapped around your limb with thick rubber, and so it acts as a dampener for your recurve. But Selway Archery has done it well and done it for a long time. And, you know, I understand looking at a traditional quiver thinking $100, $110, you know, whichever one you pick. It's real leather, rawhide hood, and the foam is high quality. It's going to last you forever. So I always tell people, just get it, and I promise you it'll last you seasons and seasons and seasons, rather than, you know, buying a cheap plastic quiver. that's going to bend and break, and you got to buy a new one in a year and a half. So check out Selway Archery. They make the finest quivers on planet Earth for all your traditional archers. Gentlemen, I know I asked Matt this last time, but you guys know that Fred Bear was big on his field notes. And Matt, no cheating, because I already went back and listened to the last field note you gave me, so you can't give me the same one. Fred Bear was big on his field notes. What's the one field note you guys have taken over the years that I can apply to my hunting and make myself a better hunter with?
Well, I suppose I should go first since
Drum roll, Steve.
Matt's already...
Drum roll, Steve. Let's hear it, brother.
Man. You know, it's funny. I thought about this in the car today. You know, I drive 45 minutes to work, and so I got a lot of time to think. And man, I think of so many ideas, and then I'll listen to your podcast. I'm like, man, that guy took my idea. So one big one, I feel like it's been, I don't know if it's just become bigger because of the communication through social media, but it's milkweed for your windicator by far. You know, I grew up using that powder bottle, and then you got these guys with little vaporizer puffs and stuff. You're only going to see the direction of the wind for what, 5 feet, 10 feet max. Maybe I'm exaggerating, maybe 10 yards. But milkweed has been a game changer for me, just to figure out not only wind, but also see what my thermals are doing where I'm sitting. I don't know if any of you guys have any experience with milkweed, but that's been one of my number one game changers in the last few years now, and it's free. You just you go harvest it from the side of the road, side of a trail, put a slit in the little pod, let it dry out for a few days, maybe a little bit more, and then pull out the little white fuzzies. And I keep a little it's a little rubber, you know, like those little coin purses where you squeeze and it opens up the slit or whatever. I keep it stashed in one of those. And then I almost, like, if I can pull out a few and have them stick on that edge. And it's almost like a Kleenex dispenser. I can like pull them out, and they'll pull a couple more out like halfway. So then I don't have, there's like minimal movement. I can throw it out and I can watch it for like, I don't know, 50, depending, like I'm here, if I'm in the timber, I'm not going to see it super far away, but I mean, 50, 70 yards at times. And it's just been a game changer for me, to tell you the truth.
Nice. That's a good one, man.
Steve just took a scent indicator and to the whole next level.
He can only say that because they don't sell scent indicators.
Yeah, I know it, right?
Man, I felt bad. One time we were at Cabela's, me and Aaron Amber, who, if you don't remember him on the show, he's the president of Nexus. And we were at Cabela's having a good time recording. And
I know where you're going on this because I listened.
I got in trouble. I got in trouble for two reasons. I kept heckling people walking by. We were sitting there recording, and I would stop, like a guy walking in would be wearing Sitka, and I'm like, dude, do you not even know who this guy is? This is the president of Nexus, and you're coming over here with Sitka? And so I got in trouble for that. But also, the tip I gave that episode was, just run to the beauty department at Walmart and find, unhunting branded, unscented deodorant, and it's like 97 cents. Or you can run and grab the hunting specific deodorant, and it'd be $7. And Aaron said, well, we sell scent-free deodorant, right? And I'm like,
walk right into that one, huh?
I'm like, well, now they can go get it for 97 cents instead of going and paying $7 for it.
Except ours isn't $7 though. I think he was a little off there when he said $7 to you. I was like, I think it's like $4.
He might have been including. He might have been including taxes and everything.
Oh yeah, maybe air freighting it. No.
Man.
Now, you guys, in all seriousness, though, Oz by ScentLock has changed the game when it comes to scent control. And that's what the Oz Infuse. That's one of my favorite products on planet Earth. If you're not familiar with it, it's a water bottle, and you press a little button, and it infuses regular tap water with ozone. So I never have to buy scent spray again, and I haven't in 2 years. Just an incredible product. And every time a friend sees it, like when I'm pulling up to a spot and, I just press the button, 90 seconds before I pull up. And so it's infusing the water, and then I'll get there, I spray down, and my friends are like, what did you just do, man? And I tell them, and their minds are blown. And, so that really has changed the scent cover game for me. Now I do have a question, because as I started talking about that, Steve, I looked over at it, and it's full of water. So I'm like, well, that's still full of water from the fall. Does water go bad in that thing?
You know what, Dylan, I couldn't answer that, but I would probably suggest just, emptying it and let it dry out. Just basic care stuff, like I feel like you would do with like anything.
Just basically take care of it like a human being, and you'll be fine.
just keep maintenance on it, and you should be good.
Yeah. He said if you don't leave it sitting there for a year, it's okay. But I just looked over, and it's full to the brim with water.
A little pro tip is I actually don't fill mine all the way up so that the water is even more infused with ozone.
That's a good tip.
Yeah. Because you don't use all the water in it, and then you just keep some bottled water in your car and, fill it up when need be. But one thing you do have to be careful of, and I think this happened to someone, is freezing temps. You gotta make sure that maybe before you're going in, I would dump that thing out, just in case, because if it's gonna be a cold car for hours and you're in the negatives, or if you're in the single digits, there might be a chance that it might freeze. So I've had just regular field spray freeze before in the past too. So just something to think about when it comes to basic maintenance on those things.
He said when it comes to common sense, which Dylan doesn't have.
Here's your sign right there.
Yeah.
No, he said no. He said no extra charge.
Yeah. That's free.
No, I love the thing. I use it in my house. I mean, I feel like I use it hunting's like 3 months a year, like especially like big game when scent's really, the thing. You hunt hogs and stuff. I don't, but I use that thing in my kitchen, my house. I wipe down stainless steel appliances with it, and it's great, man.
I've already told my wife when I get that camper, I got to get an extra one so I can just stay in the camper.
Yeah, you got to get a white one. I think those appeal to the ladies a little bit more.
Yeah,
they don't clash with their kitchens and everything else that goes with everything. So
yeah,
that's why they like them.
Matt, what's your field note you got for us, man?
What's my field note? Well, Steve,
he said I really like to use this stuff called milkweed and use it as a wind indicator.
Oh man, that was good though. He put a lot of effort in that one. I will give it a 10.
Yeah, that was a well thought out one, man. You
get podcast I've been ready for a while. Right?
You get some guys on here. And they're like, "Well, I don't pee in the wind," and I'm like, "Good, that's great." No, that was a really good tip. That really will help me out. I did have last week. We had the guys from Wise Eye Technology on, and it was funny because they had talked about down south. They're out of Louisiana, and he's like, if we don't catch fish, we just eat the bait. And and I'm like, well, there you go.
Man, them some hardcore boys.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally.
Now, for somebody who kills 847 deer a year, Matt, you've got to have something for us.
I don't know if I want to let all that out of the bag or not. I would say what just comes to my mind right now is don't overthink it, and trust your instinct and let it unfold and make moves after that. I mean, what makes a killer is instinct. You got to have a killer instinct to be able to read and to adapt. And I think if you sit there and think about the situation too much, and it always happens with a big deer. I don't care who you are, how many big deer you killed. When you got a bunch of 120s and 130s on camera, or you're seeing them, you're like, oh, okay, and you go out and go kill them. But then, you get a 160 plus on there, you start thinking, you start second guessing yourself. You start second guessing every move you're going to make. And you start calling buddies, hey man, what do you think I ought to do? Well, the reason that deer is so tough to hunt is because you're sitting there second guessing everything that you should be doing. And that's when I think that's when I think you need to, that killer instinct kicks in and, follow your gut. And
no, that's good.
That's a good one.
I think that has a lot to do with, success rate in the woods. And you can tell, there's hunters and then, or deer hunters and then there's deer killers. Same way there's turkey hunters and there's turkey killers. It just depends on what side of the fence you want to be sitting on it, And I think instinct comes in, 100% play on that.
I'm not going to lie, man. As soon as you started that tip, you're like, don't overthink it. And I'm like, kind of like you didn't overthink this tip. But then it turned out to be a good one, man.
Well, I had a point behind it,
Yeah, no, I liked it. I
That's
liked
good.
it.
That's
My
good.
tip for you is that if you have an Oz infuse, empty it out at the end of the season and don't leave it full of water.
And take it and get it serviced every 3 months.
Yeah, send it in to Steve. Send it in to Steve. Let him do it, cleaning on it and service it. No, speaking of scent lock, or of scent control, I've shared this tip before, but I love this tip, and that's just eat an apple. We're all about scent control, and I'm all about snacks in the tree stand. And apples actually act as an odor neutralizer. So as you eat them, it's killing the bacteria and the scent in your mouth. So if you are going to pack snacks to go to the tree stand, pack an apple and then munch on that, and it acts as an odor neutralizer for your mouth in the tree stand. So that's my little tip.
Yeah, I actually do the same thing, Dylan. And it's a good tip for sure.
Shout out to Mark Kenyon. He's the one I heard say that.
Oh no, I was trying to think back how I heard did that, and you're right.
Yeah. And I guess he knows a little bit about killing big deer, so I listened to him. Gentlemen, thank you guys so much for coming on. It's been a real pleasure. And I hope that we get to hook up this year, and nobody in Steve's family decides to get married during hunting season again, because it would be a blast to go hunt together.
Oh, I'd love it. I'll make sure it doesn't happen.
All right, gentlemen.
We're gonna hold you to it.
I know. I said it on the podcast.
It's recorded, man.
Yeah, now we got you now, bud.
Well, gentlemen, thank you guys so much for coming on. Guys, thank you for listening. Have a great week, and we'll catch you again next week.